Lost to the Browns, quarterback Terry Bradshaw was knocked out cold.
Damn.
The Steelers' three-peat dreams looked like they'd been buried right alongside him. In stepped rookie quarterback Mike Kruzek.
My nigga, hold on. Go
Terry
ahead.
Bradshaw was knocked out cold.
Bro, is this how they was hitting niggas back then, my nigga? Bro, these niggas was giving these niggas CTEs back to back, my nigga. This shit was a national CTE league back then, my nigga. These niggas ain't give a fuck, bro.
And
What's good, YouTube? I'm back at the YouTube video, bruh. And today, my nigga, we got 10 of the greatest teams that have never won a Super Bowl. If y'all don't know, bruh, the Super Bowl is coming up. We got a rematch of the Patriots and the Seahawks. Hopefully the Seahawks can get this bitch done this time. You know what I'm saying? Last time, that shit, man, no damn sense. Just run the ball. The fuck's so hard about that shit? But yeah, my nigga, we got the top 10 greatest teams that have never won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So my nigga, if you're new here, bro, leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. Follow me on all my socials on the screen next to the link in the description as well. On the road to 800 subs, and then get like 5 likes this video. Let's get into
catch, to Gary Anderson's first missed kick all season, to Cam Newton's fumble that changed everything. Just one bad break in the NFL can turn a legendary season into heartbreak that'll last a lifetime. Because these are the teams that had it all. MVPs, undefeated seasons, unstoppable rosters. But somehow they walked away empty-handed.
That shit's so terrible.
The top 10 greatest teams that failed to win the Super Bowl. Starting at number 10 with the 1976 Pittsburgh Steelers, a team coming off back-to-back Super Bowl championships and in search of being the first team of the Super Bowl era to ever.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's cold as hell in here, and if y'all don't know, my nigga, I stay in college apartments, bro. And I got like white roommates, my nigga. And if y'all, and I'm pretty sure y'all know it's cold as hell outside. And each niggas like the air on when it's cold. So that's the most whitish. That's the most, man, I'm not even.
We're three-peat. And honestly, they had the roster to do it. Defensive tackle Mean Joe Green, a 10-time Pro Bowler and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Linebacker Jack Lambert, a toothless enforcer in the middle who won the 1974 Defensive Rookie of the Year, 1976 Defensive Player of the Year, and anchored a unit that allowed the fewest points 4 times. Jack Ham, the quiet technician, 6-time All-Pro with 32 interceptions, the most by a linebacker at the time. And Mel Blount, the corner so physical he forced a rule change. His 11 interceptions in 1975 earned him Defensive Player of the Year and led to the 1978 Mel Blount rule, limiting contact past 5 yards. Together, they formed the backbone of the Steel Curtain. But the Steelers started just 1-4 through their first 5 games. And if you thought things couldn't get worse, in a loss to the Browns, quarterback Terry Bradshaw was knocked out cold.
Damn.
The Steelers' three-peat dreams looked like they'd been buried right alongside him. In stepped rookie quarterback Mike Kruzek.
My nigga, hold on. Go
Terry
ahead.
Bradshaw was knocked out cold.
Bro, is this how they was hitting niggas back then, my nigga? Bro, these niggas was giving these niggas CTEs back to back, my nigga. This shit was a national CTE league back then, my nigga. These niggas ain't give a fuck, bro.
And the Steelers' three-peat dreams looked like they'd been buried right alongside him. In stepped rookie quarterback Mike Kruzek, who didn't let the Steelers lose another game. The Steel Curtain went from dominant to downright mythical. In a 9-game stretch to close the regular season, Pittsburgh went 9-0 and allowed just 28 total points. That's just over 3 points per game. They had 5 shutouts, including 3 in a row, and went 22 straight quarters without allowing a touchdown. On offense, running backs Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier both topped 1,000 yards on the ground, one of only 2 times that had ever happened in a 14-game season. And when Bradshaw returned, he was greeted by a team that had somehow transformed itself from a 1-4 mess to an unstoppable juggernaut.
Damn.
In the divisional round, Pittsburgh destroyed the Colts 40-14. But late in that blowout win, Both Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier went down with injuries and would be sidelined for the AFC Championship against the Raiders. The Steelers fought, but without their running game, they just couldn't move the ball as the Raiders won 24-7. That loss still stings Pittsburgh. Even Jack Lambert, who won 4 Super Bowls, said that the 76 Steelers were the best team he ever played on. But while defense was Pittsburgh's calling card, the number 9 2011 Packers were quite the opposite. They were fresh off a championship the year before, and somehow even better. Rodgers threw for over 4,600 yards, 45 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions with a 122.5 passer rating. A season so efficient, it broke his own NFL passer rating record of 121.5. He was surrounded by an arsenal of weapons. Jordy Nelson broke out with 1,263 yards and 15 touchdowns, becoming Aaron Rodgers' go-to deep threat. Greg Jennings added 949 yards and 9 touchdowns, despite missing time. Jermichael Finley was a red zone nightmare, only 8 scores. Veteran Donald Driver chipped in nearly 450 yards as the steady presence in the locker room. And rookie Randall Cobb flashed big play potential with a kick return touchdown in his first NFL game. This offense averaged 35 points per game, the second highest scoring average in NFL history at the time, behind only the 2007 Patriots. They started a franchise record 13-0, 19-0 dating back to the previous season. Sure, their defense ranked dead last that season, giving up 4,796 passing yards, but it didn't matter because Rodgers and company just kept outscoring everyone. However, the cracks started to show in Week 15 when the 5-8 Chiefs team with an interim head coach snapped the Packers' perfect season. Green Bay finished with a franchise-best 15-1 record and found themselves in the divisional round against the 9-7 New York Giants. But from the opening drive, something felt off. Rodgers looked rusty after the team's bye week. The receivers were dropping passes left and right. Every hit from the Giants' pass rush seemed to rattle the offense a little more. Then, right before halftime, with seconds left on the clock, Eli Manning heaved one toward the end zone. 3 Packers defenders swarmed under it, but somehow Hakeem Nicks came down with a touchdown. That was the moment it all shifted. The Giants steamrolled to a 37-20 win, sending the Packers home after just 1 playoff game. No team had ever gone 15-1 and failed to win a single playoff game until that night. But what happened to the 87 49ers at number 8 was even harder to explain. 1987 wasn't a normal year. The NFL was thrown into chaos by a player strike that shortened the season to 15 games. And for 3 of those, teams had to use replacement players. It was weird and messy. Yet, through all that noise, the 49ers continued to dominate, going 13-2. And their offense, it was absurd. San Francisco scored 459 points, the most in the NFL. They led the league in total yards.
So you telling me these niggas scored that many points with car salesman money? That's crazy.
Joe Montana had over 3,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, and the highest passer rating in the league. Jerry Rice, on the other hand, was on a completely different planet. He only played in 12 games and somehow still caught 22 touchdown passes. No receiver has ever scored more in so few games. Roger Craig was bullying defenses out of the backfield. Ronnie Lott was the heartbeat of a defense that allowed the fewest yards in the league. Young talent like Charles Haley and Michael Carter made them a nightmare up front. They shut out the Bears 41-0 and ended the year on a 6-game winning streak. Their divisional round matchup against the 8-7 Minnesota Vikings looked like a warm-up. San Francisco was at home in Candlestick Park, and Vegas had them favored by double digits. But Minnesota came out swinging. Quarterback Wade Wilson, not exactly a household name, started picking apart the 49ers defense. And then wide receiver Anthony Carter began one of the greatest single-game performances in playoff history, finishing with 10 catches for 227 yards. Meanwhile, Montana couldn't find rhythm, turning the ball over and missing throws he'd make in his sleep. Bill Walsh made a desperate call, benching Montana for Steve Young. Young came in and scrambled for a touchdown, but it was too late. The Vikings led 20-3 at halftime and never looked back. Final score, 36-24. That 1987 squad had everything. The coach, the quarterback, the greatest receiver alive, a dominant defense, and the best record in football, all to fall short. But the pain didn't last long, because following the loss, the Niners would go on to win 2 straight Super Bowls. Years later, history repeated itself. Best record, league MVP, early exit. This time with the Ravens, coming in at number 7. In 2019, a brand new era in Baltimore had formed, one led by a 22-year-old quarterback who was unlike anything the league had ever seen. Gone was Joe Flacco, in was Lamar Jackson. In Week 1 against Miami, Baltimore dropped 59 points on the Dolphins, the biggest win in franchise history, as Lamar threw 5 touchdowns with a perfect passer rating. Lamar was making grown men look foolish. His spin move against the Bengals, legendary. His Monday night demolition of the Rams, 5 touchdown passes and a perfect passer rating again. They ran through the Seahawks in Seattle. They dismantled Tom Brady's undefeated Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Behind offensive coordinator Greg Roman's creative run-heavy scheme, the Ravens broke the NFL single-season rushing record with over 3,200 yards on the ground, becoming the first team ever to average at least 200 passing yards and 200 rushing yards per game. They finished 14-2, the best record in franchise history, with 13 Pro Bowlers, tying an NFL record. Lamar Jackson became the youngest unanimous MVP in league history, throwing for 36 touchdowns and rushing for over 1,200 yards. In the divisional round, the Ravens hosted the 9-7 Tennessee Titans, a scrappy underdog team that had barely snuck into the playoffs. In what was supposed to be a simple game,
I forgot he played for the Titans.
Into the playoffs. In what was supposed to be a simple game, Titans running back Derrick Henry, well, he had other plans. Henry had 195 rushes.
That's crazy. He played for the Ravens now. That's
broke
crazy.
Their spirit, and even a jump pass touchdown.
That's sad.
The Ravens, who had seemed unstoppable all season, looked lost. Lamar threw 2 picks, lost a fumble, and the Ravens turned the ball over on downs again and again as the Ravens fell 28-12.
Damn.
The loss was so brutal, the Ravens decided they wanted Derrick Henry years later, signing him in the 2024 offseason as Lamar continues to search for his first ring. But if Baltimore's fall felt shocking, Washington's in 1983 was downright historic. Coming in at number 6, the Redskins were the defending champs and led by head coach Joe Gibbs, a man who had built a machine. Under center was Joe Theismann, who was playing the best football of his career. Behind him was 34-year-old John Riggins, the grittiest player in NFL history. And then there were the Hogs, Washington's legendary offensive line, Mark May, Russ Grimm, and Joe Jacoby. The Redskins scored 541 points, the most in NFL history at the time, a record that would stand for 15 years. They forced 61 turnovers, still an NFL record to this day, and no team has even come close to their plus 43 turnover differential. They'd go up 21, 28, 35 points and just keep scoring. Theismann was named NFL MVP. Riggins led the league with 24 touchdowns, a record that stood for over a decade. Gibbs was named Coach of the Year. In the divisional round, they annihilated the Rams 51-7. A complete demolition from start to finish.
That's crazy. If you really think about it, bro, it's crazy how far football has come, because you're not seeing that no more, my nigga. Niggas got so much professional now, like, nigga, seeing that shit nowadays just rare.
NFC Championship, a slugfest with Bill Walsh's 49ers. Washington jumped out 21-0. Joe Montana clawed the Niners back to tie it. RFK Stadium went silent until Mark Mosley drilled a clutch field goal in the final minute. Now it was time for the Super Bowl against the Oakland Raiders. The Redskins were 3-point favorites. They had the league's best offense, the best record, and all the momentum. But football has a way of flipping the script, because just before halftime, Theismann dropped back to throw a simple screen pass when a backup linebacker named Jack Squirek read it perfectly. He jumped the route, intercepted it, and walked untouched into the end zone. From that moment on, the Raiders took control and never gave it back. By the end, it was 38-9, one of the most lopsided losses in Super Bowl history. For Washington, it was humiliation. The defending champs, with one of the most dominant rosters of the decade, completely unraveled on the biggest stage. It's a feeling that the team at number 5, the 2015 Carolina Panthers, know all too well. But here's the thing. This team wasn't even supposed to be good. Their best wide receiver, Kelvin Benjamin, tore his ACL before the season even began. The media said they had no weapons and no passing game. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year, at best a wild card chase. But then came Cam Newton. One week, he was diving over goal lines like Superman. The next, he was dabbing on defenders as he racked up over 4,400 total yards and accounted for 45 touchdowns.
Until he ran into us.
Fed off that energy.
Until that nigga ran into us, my nigga.
Josh Norman was talking trash to everyone. Luke Kuechly was diagnosing plays before the snap. And Thomas Davis, playing through a broken arm later that postseason, played with fire. They started 14-0. including a Thanksgiving game where they picked off Tony Romo twice. Then, in the playoffs, they beat the Seahawks in the divisional round and absolutely humiliated the Cardinals 49-15 in the NFC Championship to reach Super Bowl 50 against the Broncos. Then Cam was the MVP, the face of football. But under the bright lights, Denver's defense, led by Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, turned the game into chaos. Miller strip-sacked Cam twice, including one that rolled near his feet.
Well, I don't know what the fuck you thought this shit was. So you thought this shit was gonna be sweet cakes, nigga? No. Fuck.
Didn't die for it, became a symbol of the night. Final score, 24-10 Denver. But even in defeat, the 2015 Panthers were unforgettable because they brought swagger back to Charlotte. They gave us MVP Cam and an explosive offense that brought back memories of the number 4 squad, the greatest show on turf. I mean, the 2001 St. Louis Rams had it all. An unstoppable offense led by Kurt Warner, the former grocery store clerk turned MVP quarterback, Marshall Faulk, the most complete running back the game has ever seen, and Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce, 2 star receivers who made the deep ball look easy. Just 2 years earlier, this team shocked the world, coming out of nowhere to win Super Bowl 34. But in 2001, they weren't a Cinderella story anymore. They were an empire. 14-2 record, undefeated on the road, first in points, first in yards, and the first team to ever lead the league in both for 3 straight years. Warner threw for nearly 4,900 yards and 36 touchdowns to win his second MVP, and Falk grabbed his 3rd straight Offensive Player of the Year award. In the divisional round, they dismantled Brett Favre's Packers 45-17,
Damn.
6 interceptions, 3 of which were returned for touchdowns. Then in the NFC Championship, they beat Donovan McNabb and the Eagles 29-24, where Falk put up 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. This was it. The Rams were back on the biggest stage, and it felt like destiny. Their opponent, a young, scrappy New England Patriots team, led by a 24-year-old backup named Tom Brady. Nobody, and I mean nobody, gave New England a shot. In fact, Vegas had the Rams as 14-point favorites. Early on, Ty Law picked off Warner and ran it back for a touchdown. Marshall Faulk was swarmed every time he touched the ball. Late in the 4th quarter, Warner led a comeback, capping it with a laser to Ricky Proehl to tie the game at 17 with under 2 minutes left. But with no timeouts and 1:21 on the clock, Tom Brady led a drive that would change football forever. Completion after completion, and with 7 seconds left, Adam Vinatieri drilled the game-winning 48-yard field goal. And as the Patriots celebrated, the torch was quietly passed, from the greatest show on turf to the Brady era. But before Brady, the NFL had a different juggernaut. Number 3, the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. Under head coach Dennis Green, the Vikings had always been competitive. But they were missing that one thing that could take them over the top. Well, that thing arrived on draft night in the form of a 21-year-old wide receiver named Randy Moss. That season, Moss pulled in 17
Moss is one of the ones.
Still the most ever by a rookie. Across from him stood Chris Carter, one of the smoothest route runners in football history. Add in Jake Reed, versatile back Robert Smith, and a veteran quarterback in Randall Cunningham, who had come out of retirement, and suddenly everything clicked. At 35 years old, Cunningham had the best year of his career, with 3,700 yards and 34 touchdowns, as the Vikings scored a then-record 556 points, averaging nearly 35 points per game. In Week 5, Cunningham threw for 442 yards, as Moss torched the Packers' defense for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. On Thanksgiving Day in Dallas, Moss caught 3 passes, all touchdowns, all over 50 yards. They were so dominant that when the wide receivers coach, Hubbard Alexander, would get up to talk, Randy would tell him, sit down, and then say, it doesn't matter what they play. It doesn't matter who they are. We're gonna blow right by them. And so that was the scouting report. Him telling the coach to sit down. By season's end, Minnesota stood at 15-1, one of the most dominant regular seasons in NFL history. Their playoff run started exactly how it was supposed to, a 41-21 demolition of the Cardinals in the divisional round in which Moss caught 2 touchdowns. Next up was the NFC Championship game against the Falcons. Randall Cunningham was locked in, firing darts to Chris Carter and launching bombs to Randy Moss. Late in the 2nd quarter, up by 13, Dennis Green called for a deep shot on 3rd down. Cunningham dropped back and got blindsided. Fumble. Atlanta recovered. A few plays later, the Falcons punched it in.
Suddenly,
it was 20-14, but the Vikings still seemed in control. They traded punches with Atlanta, stretched the lead again to 27-20, and by the final minutes, they had the ball and a chance to put it away for good. Out came Gary Anderson, the most automatic kicker in football. He'd been perfect all year, 35 for 35 on field goals, 59 for 59 on extra points. And this kick was a routine 39-yarder. The snap came in, the hold was good, the ball soared, wide left. The Falcons came out and marched down the field, finishing the drive with a touchdown to send the game to overtime. And despite winning the opening toss, the Vikings were unable to score. And when Atlanta drove down the field, their kicker, Morten Andersen, lined up for a 38-yarder and did something Gary couldn't. He drilled it. And just like that, the team who had redefined how offenses would use the vertical attack was over. But truth be told, Minnesota wasn't the first team to change how football was played through the air, because a decade earlier, the 1990 Buffalo Bills ran something known as K-Gun, a no-huddle offense led by Jim Kelly, one so dominant they land at number 2. Kelly commanded it like a field general. Thurman Thomas was the engine that never stopped, and Andre Reed and James Lofton stretched defenses until they broke. And when it came to defense, Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett made sure quarterbacks didn't sleep well before playing Buffalo. Smith was at his peak, racking up 19 sacks and earning Defensive Player of the Year honors. The Bills stormed through the season at 13-3, going a perfect 8-0 at home. There was that comeback against Denver, down 21-9 heading into the fourth quarter. Then they exploded for 20 points in 77 seconds. A blocked field goal returned for a touchdown.
That's crazy.
6, a fumble recovery at the goal line, all in barely over a minute. A week later, they rallied to beat the Raiders with 2 special team scores in the fourth quarter. In the playoffs, they took down Dan Marino and the Dolphins in a 44-34 shootout in the snow.
Damn.
In the AFC Championship, they embarrassed the Los Angeles Raiders 51-3. I mean, the crowd was chanting Super Bowl before the third quarter even ended. And the Super Bowl was where they were headed. Their opponent, Bill Parcells' New York Giants, led by a backup quarterback named Jeff Hostetler. On paper, this shouldn't have even been close. But Parcells had a plan. A slow, grinding game that chewed up the clock and kept Kelly's no-huddle offense pacing helplessly on the sideline. The Bills landed the first blows. Kelly to Reed, Thurman Thomas slicing through the defense. Bruce Smith even delivered a safety that sent the Bills up 12-3. But the Giants wouldn't go away. Drive after drive, they bled the clock. Otis Anderson ran right into the teeth of Buffalo's defense. And suddenly, the Giants were up 20-19. Then came one final drive. Kelly orchestrated a march down the field, hitting Reed, scrambling for yards, and feeding Thomas until they reached the Giants' 29-yard line with 8 seconds left. That's when kicker Scott Norwood, the man who had been reliable all year, lined up for a 47-yard attempt. The kick went up and drifted right. Wide. When it missed, my whole body was kind of deadened by it, he said. I just felt so empty out there. The Bills had lost. But that 1990 team was special. They were ahead of their time, and they built the foundation of a dynasty, one that would make it to 4 straight Super Bowls. But the thing is, they lost every single one of them. It's ridiculous when people call them losers, Bills owner Ralph Wilson said. I prefer to think of them as 4-time silver medalists. But if there's one player who hated losing in the Super Bowl, it was 7-time champion Tom Brady. And the thing is, his greatest season resulted in disappointment.
The 2007
team to never win a Super Bowl was a team that felt inevitable. The 2007 New England Patriots. Tom Brady was playing the best football of his life. Bill Belichick was coaching like he had cracked football's secret code. And the addition of Randy Moss turned the Patriots' offense into something the league had never seen before.
That's crazy.
After falling short in the 2006 AFC Championship, Belichick and Brady went on a mission. They overhauled their receiving corps, adding Wes Welker, Dante Stallworth, and of course, Moss, a superstar who had been written off in Oakland. From week 1, the Patriots were unstoppable. They dropped 38 points in the first 3 weeks. They dropped 49, 52, 56, with an average margin of victory of 20 points per game. By week 12, they had already clinched their division. By week 17, they were 15-0, 1 game away from perfection. And in their regular season finale against the Giants, Brady hit Moss twice for touchdowns. That gave Brady 50 touchdown passes, breaking Peyton Manning's record, and Moss 23 touchdown catches, breaking Jerry Rice's. But more importantly, the Pats had gone 16-0. They scored 589 points, the most in NFL history at the time, and posted a plus 315 point differential. In the playoffs, the destruction continued. They handled the Jags. They outlasted the Chargers. 18 straight wins. One more to go. Super Bowl 42 was a rematch with those same Giants they beat in Week 18, a 10-6 wildcard team that had barely snuck into the playoffs. But when the game started, the Giants' defensive line, led by Michael Strahan, Osi Umenyiora, and Justin Tuck, was relentless. They hit Brady.
I'm not gonna lie, the Giants, they had them dogs, nigga.
Into the playoffs. But when the game started, the Giants' defensive line, led by Michael Strahan, Osi Umenyiora, and Justin Tuck, was relentless. They hit Brady over and over, sacking him 5 times and forcing rushed throws all night. For the first time all season, New England's offense looked mortal. Still, with the game winding down, the Pats led 14-10, one stop away from 19-0. Then Eli Manning did the unthinkable. He avoided what looked like a sure sack and threw up a prayer that was caught on the helmet.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Moments later,
this play right here is crazy.
Burris found the end zone. The Patriots had one last chance, but time ran out. The perfect season was gone. If there's one game in history I'd change, it's that game, Brady said. But we can't change it. I think what you realize about football and about life is you never have it quite mastered. It was a tough lesson for me to learn. It was a reminder that all it takes is one bad game, one missed kick, one helmet catch to turn history upside down. That's what makes football so cruel and so beautiful. But every one of these teams left a mark. Championships might define legacies, but these teams defined eras. Because in the end, these teams didn't need a ring to be remembered. Their stories are football history. If you enjoyed this video, stick with Blitz. Subscribe and check out some of our other content.
If y'all enjoyed this video, hold on, was y'all team on here, bro? Let me know if y'all team was on here, bro. Because if it was, I feel so bad. But if I enjoyed this video, bro, leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. Follow me, all my subs on the screen. Next link in the description as well. On the road to 800 subs, and I catch y'all boys in the next one. Peace. You done got me fucked up. You done got me all.